So hello and welcome. I'm Joshua Perkins. I'm with Compression Care. I want to welcome you to our first Spotlight Educational Series of 2025. We'll be hosting these meetings over the next few months, and we'll have some exciting guests. So I hope you'll continue to be on the lookout for future invites. Just watch your email, or you can always check our website at www.compressioncare.com. And before we get into John's presentation, which is a really good presentation, I want to tell you a little bit about Compression Care and our sister company, Pretty in Pink Boutique, based in Nashville, Tennessee. We have been in business of helping patients with their compression needs and billing for garments for almost 20 years. Compression Care is the national vision of the owner and founder, Pamela Ludwig. Pam started Pretty in Pink Boutique and Compression Care with the goal of helping patients get the care they need while never paying more than they have to. At Compression Care, we strive to improve patients' lives by making high quality care accessible, affordable, and convenient no matter where they live. We hire certified compression fitters as our case managers. This ensures that if you have questions, there will be a knowledgeable person helping you and your patient with their garment needs. All referrals and questions can be emailed to referrals@compressioncare.com or fax to us at 615-807-3334. If you have any questions during this presentation, please post them to the chat, and we'll make sure that we have time at the end to provide some answers for you. We're very excited to have John Svoboda on our call today. John is a senior software engineer at Juzo, where he's been a key member for the past decade. He is primarily responsible for overseeing all of Juzo's online systems with a notable focus on the Shop Juzo ordering portal. John's expertise and dedication have been instrumental in ensuring the smooth operation and continuous improvement of all of these critical systems. So not only that, but John and I have worked closely together during this whole process of bringing the Juzo Practitioner Portal's beta test and making this live. And honestly, it's been an absolute honor to be a part of that. And I feel like this system, the way he's developed and even the changes that we've put in by working together, I feel like this system was going to be a great tool for all the therapists out there. I'm really excited that you get to take a look at it. So without further ado, we'll let John take over. Thank you, John.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. 10 years ago, I was hired at Juzo to bring online made-to-measure custom ordering to their Shop Juzo portal. Before that, you could just order ready-to-wear garments. And so that project was interesting. I knew nothing about lymphedema or compression or anything at the time. And so I've spent the last 10 years learning a lot as I build and work on these systems. So recently we thought, well, that same level of ease that we brought and hands-on that we brought made to measure ordering to our dealers, maybe we could do the same thing and extend it out one step further for our therapists. The therapists who are placing these orders, instead of them faxing or emailing orders to somebody who then faxes or emails orders to somebody else, take the middleman out of it and allow them to enter the orders, enter the measurements into the system and submit them electronically, where that information can then be passed on electronically to us, allowing there to be less room for errors and mistakes, typos in transposing numbers when entering those measurements. So this practitioner portal is basically a therapist version of our dealer ordering portal. So any of the products we have available on Shop Juzo for our authorized dealers to order, therapists can go on and find and select and order those products. Both our ready-to-wear products like our wraps or our soft or dynamic stockings, or our custom garments like our MTM standard products and our MTM Express products. For those of you who might not be aware of what an MTM Express product is, it's a made-to-measure custom garment that has a limited number of options available and therefore has a 72-hour production window. So if you need something fast, that is those limited options allow that garment to be produced faster and get out the door and shipped. So what we're looking at right here is the homepage screen of the practitioner portal. And if I was doing a live demo, what I would do right now is click on the MTM standard option. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. And so when we get to the next slide, our MTM ordering screen basically asks you for some questions to narrow down to the actual product you're ordering. It does this for both the made-to-measure garments and the ready-to-wear garments. And the first question it asks with made-to-measure garments is, what is your knit classification? Are you looking for a circular knit product, or are you looking for a flat knit? And so if we go ahead and go to the next slide, once we've made that classification option, it's going to show you all the available options. So we selected flat knit. You can see that it says knit classification flat knit. And here are all the available types of products or forms that are available for flat knit. And so obviously in flat knit, there are a lot more options available than in circular knit. So we'll go ahead and click to the next slide. We've selected the AD. Once we've selected the product type, you can see that over to the right-hand side of the screen, we have a little box that's opened up, and that's our fitting guide. So on the made-to-measure ordering screen and also on the measurement entry form, we have the measuring instruction document, we have a form guide, and also we're putting together measuring instructional videos for both standard patients and difficult patients. So not just somebody showing the measurement, taking measurements on a standard, normal, no lymphedema leg. They're doing videos for, the extreme cases of measuring. So we're working on those and adding them as we go. But at this point, we would go ahead and select our compression. And if we click to the next slide, it'll give us a list of models that match that. And this is where MTM made-to-measure ordering is going to really change from ready-to-wear. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see that directly under where we selected the model, one of the interesting things is that you have the ability to select whether or not you're ordering a pair or a piece. In our production environment, we make everything by the piece. So even if you're ordering a pair with a left and a right, it's still to us 2 pieces. And so that basically tells you that if you order 1 pair, when you get to the order review screen, it will represent it as 2 pieces. And it is the measurements and the information that you fill out in the form that lets us know if we're creating 2 rights or 2 lefts or a left and a right. Next to that, in the option section with made to measures, it is an a la carte system. So because we did a standard made to measure, all the available options that you can get are available there. And as you go down and see those different sections like color and top options, you can see that those are highlighted in green and they have a value. So those are options that have a default option, that even without you selecting something, that's what it's going to be. But if I were to enter silicone and add silicone to this product, then that would show me what silicone I had selected, excuse me. And once you get all the options, you can go ahead and hit add to cart. So next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I actually did show opening up the color here, and you can see that it lists all the available colors for this product, and I'm going to go ahead and select black. And now you can see that is changed in the current selection window. Now we'll hit the add to cart and start our order. So when you add the first item to the order, it's going to ask for a couple pieces of information. So the portal is going to want to know who the order is being selected to. Now, if compression care is your assigned dealer, then you won't be asked that question. And the next thing we do is, so if we go ahead and go to the next slide, you can see there that I'm selecting my test Juzo test account as the dealer I want to submit the order to. And we hit the next. And then I have the ability, if I click the show filter buttons, I can click the M letter because I'm looking for a patient with a last name M. And if we hit next, we can see that in my drop down, we have the patient Steve McQueen. Now, if that wasn't the patient I was looking for, meaning I may not have added the patient at this point, the button right there that says new patient will allow me to enter the patient information and add that new patient to the form as I'm creating the order. The last piece of information asked for here is the physician name. And that is also a predictive search. So as I add prescribing physicians to the system, it will remember that. And as I start typing in a name, it'll give me a list of physicians that match what I've typed so far. And then you can just select that physician. If you go ahead and hit the next slide. Now we've been directed to our measurement form. And so a couple key things, it will default to the measurement inputs in centimeters. I've never understood why somebody would want to try measuring in inches and then do conversion to enter it into the form. But this is the United States, so you never know. The important thing is this system will remember whatever you enter. So if you enter it as centimeters or you enter it as inches, it's doing the conversion to the other method, saving it and storing both of them. So at any point you can flip back and forth and that information is saved. The next thing right below that is our extremity boxes, whether or not this is a left or right extremity. And it's important to note that if we had been selecting or ordering a pair, that option would obviously not be available, and we would be entering both the left and right automatically. At the top of each section, you can see that there are little red, yellow, and green markers at the top of circumferences, lengths, and foot measurements. And I like to call those my traffic lights. So the green are any fields that have been entered, validated, and are within normal tolerance for that measurement. The yellow are going to be any fields that have been entered and outside the normal tolerance. And red are going to be required fields that need to be filled in to submit this order. So the next thing, if we click the next slide. Oh, yep, click it in. Yep, click again. Okay, there's that box. So currently my measurement form is going up the screen. So you can see that the circumference of A is at the bottom of the form. And as I fill those in, it will move up the page. But I actually, being in IT, I like to start at the top left and move down a form rather than up. But a lot of our therapists like to have the measurement form mirror the paper form and move up the page. So if you go ahead and click to the next slide, right there, this button right here will change the ordering of the form. And once you make that change, it'll save that in your preferences and keep it that way the next time you come in. So go ahead and go to the next slide. And now we can see that circumference of A is at the top of the form and moving down to the bottom, which is the way I like it. When it starts going up the screen, it's like laws of physics are being overruled. Go ahead and hit the next slide. So here we can see I'm entering a measurement. So I've entered a value, it's gone and validated that value, and it's determined that it is within normal tolerances, so it's filled it out in green. Go ahead and hit the next slide. And here we have one where I put it where it's outside the tolerance. Now, I always like to let people know that if a measurement shows up in yellow and it's outside the normal tolerance, that doesn't mean that you can't submit the order. It just means there might be some questions. It's also like a notice that maybe you want to double check that measurement because it might be incorrect. But if it is the measurement that was actually taken, you can go ahead and still submit with measurements out of tolerance. Just means when it gets to our production environment, there may be questions. Go ahead and hit the next slide. So we can see I've gone ahead and just filled in all the rest of the measurements. And I'm going to go ahead and hit that save button. But what's really, sorry, thank you. I just wanted to say that what's going on as you enter each measurement is we're actually saving each measurement as you go. So if something crazy were to happen, if the power went out or you closed the browser by accident and you went back in and reloaded this order to continue, all the measurements you would enter at that point would be saved. It's saving it each time as you go. Now we'll go to the next slide. So once we've saved all those measurements, this is our order review screen. And there's a couple things we can do here. Number one, we can adjust the quantity of the item. We're ordering one each. So up in that top box, we can adjust the quantity. We can go ahead and edit this item. If we missed an option, we'd be able to click the first green button in that row. The next one is the delete button to delete this if we wanted to delete this item off of it. We have a duplicate, which allows us to copy this item and all its measurements and then potentially change one color. So we could have a beige and then add a black without going through all the steps we've done so far. And that last button in that row is the measurement screen, which would allow us to go back, maybe make an adjustment to our measurements. So once we got that all right, here we are. We're going to submit this order to compression care. And it kind of gives us a little bit of information. Here's the patient. Here's the account, the dealer you're submitting it to. It asks us to acknowledge whether we have the insurance card or the compression prescription. And if we have those things, we can check those values. It then gives us some instruction about those documents, like your demographics and insurance information and where to send it. In this case, it lists a fax number or an email address that you can pass those along with. And then what we do is we ask you where this garment should be shipped. Should it be shipped to you, the practitioner, or should it be shipped to the patient? And that's important information because that's actually going to be used to populate the delivery address when compression care goes to submit that to us. Go ahead and hit next. And once you've done all that, it's going to give us our confirmation number, PSO number, which is a practitioner submitted order number. And that confirmation number can be used to communicate back and forth with compression care regarding this order. But even within this portal, if we go to the order section, which is right here, and this is our submitted orders, we can see that order we were just working on is there. And this gives us some basic information. The practitioner that took the order, the dealer that it was submitted to, the patient, and then whether or not we had those pieces of information and where we're delivering it to. But you'll also see some other key things that each order will have. So when an order has been submitted, you from this screen can see the status of the order. Currently, this one has been submitted to the dealer, but the next step is it would be accepted by the dealer or acknowledged by the dealer. And then eventually, once that's happened, it gets submitted to us, and you can see when it gets submitted to Juzo for production. And then finally, when it gets shipped and is complete. And once items start shipping on these orders, tracking information is available on the screen, so you can go to the carrier, see where it is in the shipping process, and be able to relay that information to the patient if you need to. In addition, you have the ability to communicate with the dealer about this order through this portal. So the blue button that we can see on the screen is the message the dealer button, which allows you to do a two-way communication back and forth about this particular order. You also have access to confirmation PDF documents, and the ability, if you need to revoke this order. And that red button is the ability to say, something's changed. I don't want to submit this order. And you can go ahead and revoke it. As long as it hasn't gotten to the point where the dealer has accepted that order, then you can revoke it. And lastly, in that status line, all the way to the right, there is a status log button. And with that status log, it actually shows you each step in the process, the date and time when the order reached that process or that point. So you can go back and kind of see the course that it's traveled as it's gone through this process. Once this shipped, it would then go to the completed orders. So you have a full history of your orders, the ability to do reorders off of those and rebuild that cart and submit that order, which all that history with that patient and their measurements. And at this point, once it is now in Compression Care's hands, they're going to do their whole process. But this way, there's a clear line of sight from when you submit it to when it goes to Compression Care to when they get the insurance information approval back to when it gets submitted to us for production to when we actually ship it. So that's my presentation of this portal.
I love it.
It's been a great project. We're just about done with our beta testing, which is nice. And working with Josh and Compression Care has been great as well. It's great to have a partner that you can work back and forth with. So.
Yeah, for sure. I know we've had some fun with it for sure, because it's when it first came out, there's little steps that from the manufacturing side they don't know the steps that we need on the billing side. And so it's been really fun to work this closely and try to, see it from both sides and make it the best we can for the therapist. And so far, I mean, it's actually really come a long way, and it was good to start with. So I think it's doing a really good job right now. I do have a couple questions that I want to throw out there to you. Actually, I think I can answer some of these, but where do they submit that patient information? You kind of answered that. The demographics and insurance, that can all be emailed directly to us or faxed directly to us. How you would normally send the demographics and insurance information on a particular patient. This just allows it to streamline into the Juzo system. So, and the nice thing about that is, like, as you're typing in those measurements and you're putting it all in, one, you know that you did it right. You also know, because of those traffic lights, that it is a good garment and can be produced, right? And so when you send to us the demographics and the insurance information, right now, from the day you submit it to the day we have an answer back on those benefits, is taking about 5 days. So we've been slower than that in the past, but we've really done a great job through December of not only keeping up with the massive amount that you all have probably sent us, and I appreciate, but this is just one more way to kind of speed up that process as we go through it. Remaining quantity orders or reorders, how do you handle that? And I can speak to this as well. And John, you jump in anytime on this one. But so in our system, we would create a ticket and we would submit that, and we would hit the accept button. It would drop into a cart. We hit the order button. It automatically goes to the machines at Juzo, and they start making this garment. From our side, like say you with Medicare, you have the ability to order 3 garments for per affected limb through Medicare, right? So you've got 3 garments per affected limb and daytime, and you only want to do 1 at first. Just say you want to do 1, but you might not need the other. You might want the other 2 a month from now. Once you know that the fit is good and everything, and the patient's liking the product and they're happy, then you could go right back in. And John, this is where it would go back over to you is, when they do that, is there a way to duplicate those measurements from a previous order?
Correct. So there is a way to go into orders you've done in the past. whether recent or 6 months in the past, and find that particular order. And by clicking a button, it will rebuild the cart with all the products that were in that existing cart and the measurements for all those made-to-measure garments that you can then go in and make any necessary changes. Now, if you submitted a garment and the patient got the garment, they're happy with it, they just want 2 more, and you're doing that right away, this is a very quick process. Later on, they need more garments, maybe need to reevaluate those measurements, get new measurements, but you can still use that previous order to get the exact same garment, same model, compression, with the same options, and then just go in and edit those measurements where necessary and then submit it. So it is a time saver on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then one thing on my end, on the dealer's end, if you go in there and duplicate and add another patient to it, it would be very helpful. And you don't have to necessarily submit new demographics unless there is new information. If we're talking about a month down the road, if you could shoot an email or a fax over and just say, hey, we've got another order in there for this patient, that would help us out on our end, just making sure that things go smoothly and that patient is taken care of quickly. But that can be as simple like patient Joshua Perkins is ready for their other 2 garments. It's in the Juzo portal, and you send that to us and we can knock it through really quickly, actually. So that's excellent. Now, if somebody on the call wanted to initiate this process and get set up, what would be their best step to do that?
Well, I mean, I think they have a couple. I think they could contact you and say that they're interested in submitting orders to you through our portal. And then we would go ahead and set them up for a more thorough live actual demonstration. Get them set up to do so. Can be done very quickly. And just because one thing we didn't really cover, and it just occurred to me, especially as we're talking about people getting signed up, if you are in a clinic situation where there are multiple therapists working in that clinic that would need to be able to share and patient information and be able to manage submitted orders for each other, we have a way of doing that. So we can create a clinic and assign those therapists all to see that information and share.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Yeah, because that does happen. I see that a lot as I talk with a therapist out there, that sometimes they only have their own patient caseload, and that's what they do. But a lot of times these patients are swinging in and out of different therapists, sure, depending on who's there for the days that they're in. So yeah, that's very helpful. That's wonderful. And I really like that traffic lights. I know I've mentioned it before, but I really like it because it does change things. So when you take measurements down and I've done fittings for years. And so you go down and you write all these measurements down for the patient. Well, I don't know if Juzo can make the garment.
Right.
And so I write them all down and okay, let's hope. Sometimes you've got some patients out there that have an extreme change in size from one to the other. And sometimes you don't know that. And this is a very helpful tool for that as well. So
in those situations where you do have that extreme change, the garment might still be able to be made, but now it might have to be a flat knit. Maybe it can't be done in a circular knit garment. And also, you get all those green lights, you can feel pretty confident that garment's going to be produced, fine. But like I said before, even with those yellow, you can still submit that order. And those traffic lights also help if you were missing a measurement and you have to go and maybe go back to your notes and you come back later and you're like, okay, I found the measurement, and it shows you right on in those sections right where to click because you've got a value in that red stoplight that's preventing you from submitting that. So it helps you with that as well.
Perfect. Yeah. And so I've got a couple other questions here too that first off, not a question, but I would love to come out there, Julie, and see you sometime and meet you face to face as well. So I appreciate the comment. Thank you. But Lauren's asking, to make sure I heard correctly, for each customized option, is there a picture of an example of the option shown or just the option drop down?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, currently there are not necessarily pictures of each individual option. So it's just a list of what those options are. So for instance, if you went into the silicone section, it doesn't show you like a 3.5 centimeter silicone, and here's what the 5 centimeter silicone looks like. Currently, it's just a list of what those options are.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. How do we actually get to the Juzo portal? Like, what do they do to go to the to get to that site?
Well, once you have a username and password, it's just the Juzo Practitioner Portal.com. And then you log in and you're good to go. So once we get those credentials set up.
Yeah. So yeah, and John mentioned this too, but I want to make sure that everyone on the call knows, if you do want to be a part of this and start working on it, you can email me and I can get you in touch with John, and we can just kind of all work together to get it started. But my email is Joshua, Joshua @compressioncare.com. So you shoot me a message and say, hey, I'm interested in this. I want to get signed up for it. There's the email right there. You can jump on there, and we'll definitely get you set up, because it's been a fun process. And there's some people on here like Julie that I mentioned that has been helping us a lot with the beta test, and has submitted a ton of orders through there, and it seems like it's working pretty smoothly. So we've been happy with it. I know the therapists that are currently using it have been happy with it, and I'd love to see some more people getting on there and giving it a try. And then too, providing feedback to both John and I to say, hey, it would work smoother if we do this.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the things that's going to help. And so I definitely appreciate everybody being on here. I don't see any other questions. I do have a few things that I'd like to close out with, but I don't see any other questions at the time. But if somebody does pop it up, I will see it and I will make sure to get it answered for you. But other than that, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for attending this series. I do appreciate it. And thank you for the questions that are out there too. I hope that you're as excited as we are about this portal. I think it's amazing. I really have been liking it. You can find more information about us and sign up for the next educational series on our website, which is www.compressioncare.com. Also, if you have anyone that you would like me to get this presentation out, you're welcome to shoot me an email at that Joshua at Compression Care, and I can shoot you. We'll upload this whole presentation to YouTube, and I'll make sure to get you the link so that you can share that if somebody else that would like to see that. So we do record all of these, and we do really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy days to come on here and be a part of this. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great day.